Hi, I'm Jazz and I'm an alcoholic and I'm codependent. I work a 12-step program and I seek health. I am a seeker and a traveler in my journey. Step one. I did a step one and it has been paying off ever since. So if you've never done a step one, this is my little take on doing a step one. I don't recommend doing a step one lightly. I wouldn't take it lightly. When I did a step one, I had to really focus on it for a long time and meditate on it. And I didn't make that decision lightly. And I am so glad for that in a way, because I couldn't have been able to tell at the time what a difference that was making by making a step one and taking it so seriously and so critical. I made that decision like my life depended on it. I did my step one with my whole body, my whole spirit, my everything inside of me, all the courage and capacity that I had at the time, I put into that step one. And when it has basically, my step one was my tone setter step, because since that day, when I look back, I see how much my step one has just been so the same. And it's just, the momentum has built and it just keeps, the power just keeps growing over the years. And every time I do a step one in my life and I'm living a step one, that step one is strong and it just gives me so much strength. Like when I made that step one, I live by it now. I have lived by it. I'm convicted. And it has shown all through my recovery. So I would give myself that same advice today. I would just say, you make the best step one that you can make, and you make it good and hard, and do that step one. I have gotten so many gifts from doing such a good step one, by really admitting and acknowledging that, like, I'm done. I can't be an addict anymore. I can't drink anymore. I can't. I have to go through this grieving process. I have to give it up. I have to say no forever. Like the step one is my favorite step, and it led me to my freedom. It led me to my step two. It led me in my recovery. It was the first greatest decision that I made for the rest of my life, was that day when I finally decided that I was going to quit forever. And how I live my step one in my life today is because I live the steps. So I don't just do the steps. I do the steps, I learn the steps, and I live the steps. So the steps are my lifestyle now. They're a part of me. They're my character. It's the thing that I fall on, the thing that I am. It's my recovery. I breathe recovery. It goes all the way through me. I have done this whole program and I continue to do the whole program, and I have no desire to quit because of how many gifts that I have gotten from working this stuff. And I want to share that with you. So my step one, it took me about a week, because it wasn't like I had the desire. It wasn't like I wanted to do it. I just wanted the pain to stop. And I've said that in other videos. But this video is all about how I did that step one and how that is such a tone setter step for me. So if someone is struggling with doing a step one, I would say, out of all of my steps that I've done, my step one has benefited me the most. It made all my other steps just as convicted as my first step. So because I came in really strong on my first step, it made my second step strong when I was really ready to make that second step. And then when I was really ready to make my third step, I was ready to make my third step, because I did my second step and I did my first step. And then now I'm on to my third step. So it's given me that like power of conviction. I am one with the step. So I make this step one, takes me about a week. I had to meditate on it. I had to talk in my head. I had to just say, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, this is what my life's going to look like. It's going to be different now. I got to get rid of all this stuff behind me. And just being like freshly sober in rehab, there was a lot. I was very overwhelmed with all the things that I had to lose. I was a victim. I was self-pitying. I was overwhelmed. I was like, but why? I still thought that my shitty life was really great, and it wasn't that great. And when I look back now, I'm glad it's completely changed and is now the life that I have today. The life that I have today is way better than I would have ever thought my life would be then in active addiction. The freedom, the choices, everything that I've gotten in my sober life today is everything that I've gone to would never even come close to my imagination, my best self in active addiction, my best self hanging on to broken pieces of jazz. Like, I have been working on letting that person go year after year, changing my character, my habits, and every single thing that was destructive and self-defeating, substance abuse related. When there's a problem, like, I work on it. Like, I get it out of my life, and like, I address it and acknowledge it, and then I get to work and get it out of my life. But my step one, my favorite step, has just been such a tone setter. And I had to make that step in a quiet place with myself because it was very scary. And I didn't want to let it all go. I didn't want to let go of the fantasy, because at that time, my state of mind, I thought that it was really great to be able to drink all the time till drink my face off. At that time, I thought the best nights were when I was really loaded. I thought it was great to be drunk at my wedding. You know, those were all lies that I told my drunk self at the time, that they were really great. I don't really remember my wedding. A lot of the time, you know, at the end of my active addiction, I was blacking out constantly. I didn't remember anything anymore. I was literally just drinking a drink. So I was just living in a lie, because that life with having to have that alcohol for everything, where I went just to have fun and feel good, that wasn't the best life for me. When I worked my program and I've gotten this far down the road, this life is tenfold compared to that life. On my best day in active addiction, it does not even compare to my worst day here. I would take my worst day sober over here than ever anything in active addiction. To be that unpresent, to be that disconnected and unaware, but thinking that I so got it together, that I don't care, that I don't feel, that everything's no problem, that like I can handle everything all the time and I don't need anyone, that I'm letting that person go. And thank God, because no one's going to tell me, because I'm in such an unawareness that there's no way anyone could have reached me, because I didn't want to be reached. So I don't want to be that selfish, unaware person that doesn't know anything but thinks I know everything. You know, it doesn't give me anything but the next day to have to go out and find more ways to outside fill and drink myself to happiness. And, you know, now often happiness comes a lot easier in my life. You know, I don't have to make it happen. You know, like with booze, It's a project. And it wasn't a guarantee all the time anymore. It wasn't working all the time. My disease progressed so much that it barely worked. And all it was doing was just not making my hangover not be so bad anymore. And I wasn't going to live much longer if I didn't get sober. So I'm glad it did it then. And I've grown miles and years in this program ever since. But I think it's super, super beneficial to do a really good step one and to not do it lightly. And I took time before I was going to make that step one. I took lots of deep time to really walk it out, go for walks with myself, imagine the life without alcohol, imagining the scenarios, basically starting the grieving process of like facing those sad moments, like facing the music in my mind that, I'm not going to be that person anymore. I'm not going to do those things. My life will be different. And I think that the more that I was just really focusing on that truth that I was headed towards and knowing like, I'm either going to own this or not. I'm either going to jump in 2 feet or not. And then I think I got really close to that moment. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to do it then. And I'm going to do it. And then I did my step one and I vowed to never drink again. Like, that's it. I broke the handle off. There's no return for me. It's a one-way street, and that's the way I wanted it. And that is the way my recovery is going. And so it really propels me forward in situations because I didn't make it in this flippy floppy state. I was sure that I was going to put everything at this. So when there's a step one in my life and I realize that I am powerless and I can't manage this, I eventually hit the wall where I need to accept something. And I hit that wall and then I go, oh, okay, I'm here. I'm at that step one. I got to make a decision now. So that's where the strength and the power really shows up for me from making that really good step one years ago. And it's not like when these situations come up where I need to make a step one in my life, I'm not sitting there going, well, maybe I'll just try for a little while, or maybe I'll just go for as long as I can. When I really face the music and the honesty of it, and I go, this is really out of my control. And I'm powerless here, and it's an unmanageable situation. When I really face that truth, I face that truth now. I am released and able now to move on to the next step. It's not until I actually accept that and surrender that I can now give myself the chance to move on, to feel the thing I need to feel, to have the solution, find the solution, know the thing that I'm fighting for. None of that's going to happen if I don't get honest and look at that unmanageability and accept it. So when I did my step one years ago, I was like, hey, it's pretty true that my life was unmanageable. It is unmanageable. Like, I'm in rehab. Nothing is good anymore. Like, I've hit that point. So I either going to get on board with this or I'm going to go back out and waste some more time. So I had to take the time to face the sad part of not drinking anymore for me, because it was sad. That's all I've been doing since I was 21 was just drinking for everything. And I glorified it and I loved it. I was in love with drinking and everything to do with drinking and alcohol and fun and not having to feel things and not having to be responsible and accountable. And that was a really fun place to be. That was easy land, was to be in drinking land. And, I could just pick up all the time. And, I had to give up that fake security, that big lie. I had to give that up. And I had to start telling myself that I've burnt my life to the ground, and I'm in rehab and I need to do a step one. And for some reason, I didn't just make the step one. I thought, if I'm really going to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this step one. So, they said, we got to do step one. You got to quit alcohol forever. This isn't going to work. And so I took that information and went back to my room, and I'm like, ugh, like, what am I going to do here? Like, am I going to leave? Am I going to leave rehab? Or like, should I really just give this the best shot that I can? Give it everything I got, give it up forever. And what if they're right? Like, what if these people are right? And what if I can have a better, happier, joyous, free life? Like, at this point, I think it would be better. So, even though I didn't 100% believe it or want it, I knew that I had to make like a really committed step towards this step one and make it good and hard. I had to buckle down and do a really good step one. And I say it in meetings today, like it's my favorite step. And that just gave me like the pillar of my recovery was in my step one. And it's easy now. Like I have no interest in the drinking world anymore. It bounces off me. Like I don't even care, So it's great. Like that pain that I was feeling in that early time, in those early days, just so gone, like so far away. Like I don't feel pain like I used to feel pain in that first year recovery, probably into the next. And it does get better because I get better, I get smarter, I listen better, I act on things better, and recovery momentum for me, it just keeps going because I really stay consistent with this stuff and I stay true to it. Like I don't mess around. I really try to get to the truth, and I dig fast. Like I'm looking at it, I'm questioning it, I'm talking to people, and I'm trying to figure out because there's a glitch. There's something happening there, and it's up for me to figure it out. And that's what I do is instead of just I don't hide it. I look at it. And then it tells me something. And if I hide it, I'm just going to stay sick longer. I'm just done with being sick. I want to be healthy. I want to be free. So, and that is happening. That is happening for me today. So I did a really good step one. So if anyone wants to do a really good step one, it is worth it. But I made it true to my heart. I made that decision in a deep prayer to my higher power. And I said, fine, I'll do a really good step one, but you got to help me do all the rest. Like you got to help me get through all this. I'll do it really good and straight, but you got to help me big time. And I need help. And that's how I did my step one. So it's given me it's just been the tone setter step for me because it's like I believe when I make a decision on things now, when I get to that point, I'm like, okay, like I've arrived, I'm here. Now what do I do? So it's a real thing that I can rely on now. So I hope that helps someone. So thanks.